Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? The 1st of July is hot. And we're going to be speaking about all the latest Manchester United transfer news, as always, every single Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. live on YouTube. We'll speak about Watkins, Laurie Whitwell confirming that United are sort of interested in signing him. If Rasmus Hojlund goes the other way, I'll speak about that. Let me turn that up a little bit. Why have you turned down so much? That's a little bit strange. There we go. That's back to normal. We'll also be speaking about Mbeumo and Brentford just playing games, right? We'll speak about a midfield signing. We'll speak about the latest from David Ornstein on Rashford's exit and the latest from The Athletic on Anthony, Garnacho, Hojlund, Malacia, every other exit. We'll speak about City getting absolutely slapped up in the Club World Cup. And I've always said the Club World Cup is an incredible tournament. Whoever gets knocked out of that is an abysmal football club. And as always, going to run through your chat. And it's 1st of July. The new financial year. I know everyone's been excited for it. Oh, it's so exciting. Yeah. Anyway, let me see what you're saying down here. Alex, good morning to you. And I saw you there as well. Carl, you're there as always. We've got Lebo, we've got JC, we've got Smee, we've got Ricky, John Paul Suit. JC, good morning to you. Lots of regular faces, lots of new faces as well. Omar sitting there with the Bayern Munich logo. You in the right place? Not sure. You in the right place? Right. Let's run through the news. Let's get into it. You know full well, right? If City had won this competition, do my hair. If City had won this competition, all of a sudden it'll be lauded as the most incredible. Club. I suppose United did the same thing. World Cup champions. World champions twice. Either way, who cares? I'm just laughing at the fact that City got knocked out by Al Hilal 4-3. Oh, dear. City are going to be a significantly better team this year than they were last year. Liverpool are probably going to be a better team than they were last year, and they won the league. Arsenal will probably be Arsenal and do the exact same thing that they've done every single season, and then probably end up sacking Arteta. Let's be totally honest. I don't think any Arsenal fan even thinks that they're actually going to change. But I'm enjoying that. You know, kind of annoying thing, though, it pretty means Chelsea are going to end up. Well, Chelsea hopefully they'll lose to PSG in the final, but they've got like Palmeiras. I don't even want to pretend that I know who the bracket is. This is the only time I've really spoken about it. Shame. Shame. And this news came out yesterday in the least surprising bit of news that I've ever heard. Right, this is the story. David Ornstein confirmed that Aston Villa have agreed a deal to sell their women's team to V Sports, who are the parent company who owns Aston Villa. The exact same loophole that Chelsea did. Just a loophole, just an exploitation that has been exploited. And it's just... the game isn't the game anymore. The game is sort of, what's the rule? Yeah, I know that's the rule, but how can we get around it? Oh, what you mean? Oh, great. Yeah, let's sell the women's team. And there's going to be United fans that just don't... There'll be United fans that would happily run through every single loophole, whatever. Steve down there, why can't we use this loophole? We don't need to use that loophole. I'll keep going over this again. Villa spent 96% of their revenues on wages. 96% in like 2023-24. I think we spend around about 60%. 60% of our turnover, well, revenue on wages. Either way, it was obvious that this was going to happen. And you know what's hilarious about this, right? When you read through this article, when you read through what's being reported or said from the Villa side, we've been working on a deal to sell our women's team for the last 18 months. And the deal goes through on literally the last day before next year's accounting. I'm calling it bullshit. Unfortunately, it still is what it is. Chelsea did it. They got away with it. They're actually the safest club when it comes to PSR now. I don't know exactly what... Let's see what the numbers are involved in this. To owner v Sports. How much they sell it for? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. Well, good. Didn't actually say anything about the price. So I've no idea how much of an impact it's going to make. Still, Villa's wages are far too high. And I'm going to be speaking about Villa very shortly. And of course, a certain Ollie Watkins. What are we saying down here? Yorkie, Rashford was getting picked over. Watkins tells you everything you need to know. Don't do it. See, some people are angry down there. In fact, like, let's do the poll then. Right, let's do the poll and we'll leave this going for the next 10 minutes or so whilst I cover the other news before we get into a Watkins conversation. Would you want United... I'm not saying about price. Would you want United to sign Watkins? Yeah, and that was a great article. It's probably the best article I've ever read on here. Just a straight yes or no. You don't have to speak about the price or what happened, blah, blah, blah. Just the idea, would you want United to sign Watkins, yes or no? All right? Simple poll. Now, another bit of news that happened yesterday. It's just the... Look, I know this will be good from a content perspective, from a drama perspective, from a sort of a headline perspective. I don't particularly think that this is something that will serve Manchester United or the clubs themselves very well. It's just more access to more drama. I keep calling it the Americanization of the Premier League. And the reason I say the Americanization of the Premier League, right? When I went to watch, I can't remember who it was. It was an NFL game at Spurs, at the Spurs stadium. Man, I enjoyed it. It was an entertaining day. And I sat there and there was this American couple next to me. And I was speaking to them about the NFL, about why they came over, enjoying it. And I said, look, from my perspective, as a non-NFL fan, it almost feels like, in terms of the percentage of your day, like 75% of your day is like entertainment, and then around about 25% is the sport itself. And they were like, yeah, it's pretty fair, to be fair. So if 3/4 of the time of the NFL fan, they're not watching them actually play. It's about entertainment. It's about everything around the game. It's not about the sport itself. That's what I mean when I say about the Americanization of sport. Well, the Americanization of the Premier League. And I give it, what have we got, a couple of years before we're talking about Premier League games being hosted in America. They already do that with the NFL over here. NBA do it as well. I think they do. And actually, baseball, they do it in the West Ham Stadium, I think. I'd rather it didn't. But yeah, I think it's just a continued... trying to turn the Premier League into more of a show than the sport itself. It feels like that's just the way that it's gone. That's the product of the Premier League now. It's just as much about what happens off the pitch than it is about what happens on it. And you're saying it spoils the beauty of the game. It's just, I'd just rather not, really. You got Raw saying if we sell the women's team, it might stop people lowballing us on our outgoing players, knowing United's backs are against the wall to move them on. I don't know or understand the logic there, because if Manchester United, hypothetically, were to sell our women's team, still doesn't change the fact that we've got Rashford on stinkingly huge wages and we want him to go. The same... Our backs are not against the wall from a financial perspective. Our backs are against the wall because we've tied ourselves to the bloody wall. So selling the women's team wouldn't really change that. I don't think so anyway. And as we found out from a PSR perspective, our numbers are actually safer than we realised, because they've been counting the accounts from the wrong accounts the whole bloody time. Anyway. It's weird how it works. What was saying down here? Eventually they'll start bombarding us with ads every 2 minutes. Eric, I reckon give it, 5 years? Maybe not in 5 years. Until there's not 2 halves of a game, there's 4 quarters. I wish I was joking when I was saying that, but there's this part of me that thinks that might actually happen. Wow! Dean, man, how are you doing? Dean's been quietly operating in the background for a while, and one of the biggest and most generous men in this community has come in and thrown 50 memberships. Thank you very much, dude. Saluting all day long for you. Can I salute to hopefully Mbeumo? Here we go. At some point this week. And ideally not Friday. It's going to bloody happen on Friday. Seriously. They plan these things. Around when I'm not going to be here. Dean, thank you so much, man. As if throwing in some mad Rashford rumours down there. Not going to be speaking about those. Klein, look at the subs number. 515,515. We've got a palindrome sub counter. Let's just end it there. Anyway, let's speak about Mbeumo. After that bomber from Dean. My point still stands from yesterday. I know not everyone will agree with me. I'm just sitting there going, I'm totally calm about it. I'm totally calm. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about Spurs coming in. I'm not worried about Newcastle coming in. I'm not worried about Brentford genuinely keeping Mbeumo and turning down. I'll ask you a quick question. Who do you think the record sale for Brentford is? How much do you think it was? Right. Bear in mind that right now they've rejected a £62.5 million bid for Bryan Mbeumo from United. I looked at these earlier. Brentford record sales. So who do you think it was? And how much do you think it was for? So look down here. So who gets it first? And you are correct. It was Ivan Toney. And Carl, you're pretty much correct. 40 million. 42 million euros. So God knows what that was. About 35 million pounds? Thereabouts. Near enough half of what Manchester United have offered for Bryan Mbeumo. That's how big a sale this is going to be for Brentford. So, like, you know how people talk about PR and spin and this. This is a very thinly veiled attempt to squeeze United from a different direction. Brentford's sporting director randomly coming out saying, if he needs to be, yeah, he's actually happy to stay. We're not being forced for him to move. It'd be funny if at some point he actually had to hand in a transfer request to sort of force the issue, but I don't particularly think he needs to. Right, this is what Brentford's sporting director said yesterday. If you've missed this, right, he was asked about. He obviously went on to speak about Bryan Mbeumo.
The future of Bryan Mbeumo. He's been an incredible player for the club, but can you give us any updates on him?
There's significant interest in Bryan. I think it's been documented and publicised about his current preference. I think from what I understand, he's also if needs be happy to stay at Brentford next year as well. So listen, let's see on that. I think our position is he had an unbelievable season last year. We expected interest in him. If that deal's right, there's a deal to do. And if it's not, then he'll stay.
That's it, right? So Brentford saying, well, he might actually stay. He's not going to stay, right? Everything saying, Sam, do we have someone else apart from Mbeumo? You could have a conversation around Eze. I think Eze's Arsenal are now sort of in for Eze, I think. Do you know that Eze's release clause 67.5 mil? I didn't realise how old he was. I think it was early this season when I clocked. I was like, he's 27. Eze just looks like he's like 23, 24. Either way, this is nothing more than Brentford just trying to do their best by their club to squeeze the most out of the Mbeumo sale, because as I've shown you there, the sale of Mbeumo to United will be by some margin the record transfer in Brentford's history, and they want to make sure that they get the absolute most for him. all this is going to go down to, my prediction is that we sign him for 62.5 million. It's just that there's more up front. There's less to do with add-ons and more, as correctly pointed out by everybody down there, added into the instalments. It may well be that United end up doing 62.5 million as the guaranteed fee, and then this is all part of the negotiation, man. Because right now we might be saying, let's say hypothetically, it's 55 mil and 7.5 that was rejected. So 55 mil spread over 4 years. I don't know, with those add-ons that are related to him scoring X amount of Premier League goals or getting X amount of appearances for United. Well, why don't we go and say, well, actually, we'll give you 62.5 million all up front, but we're actually going to spread that over 5 years instead. So the amortization is spread over a longer period. Less money goes out of your cash flow actually every summer. So this summer, we'd actually only spend 12.5 mil for Mbeumo. I don't know. It's just about the structure of the numbers. This is just about Brentford trying to portray that, oh, actually, no. Despite the fact that we've got Bryan Mbeumo, now, if they were to do that, they would extend his contract by 1 year. And then next summer will be the last summer that they could get money for him. But let's be honest, they're going to sell him this summer because he's at the peak of his value. Right? I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying in the chats. Jason saying, Sam, if this deal doesn't go through, who else do we look at? I mentioned Eze there, which I don't think we'll look at. Tyler Dibbling is a potential alternative. But truth be told, there is no alternative that brings the sort of guarantees that Mbeumo does. And in the same way that there wasn't really an alternative to Cunha, who brought those sorts of guarantees. Do I think Brentford are being greedy? Nah. I think Brentford are just playing the game. I think Brentford are just doing what they can to guarantee as much as they can. And I would expect United to do the same. I can't begrudge them for that. It's just a bit bloody annoying, if I'm being completely honest, because I want him in now. And it's 6 days until the start of pre-season. You've got The Athletic here, the latest from them, saying, look, he's informed Spurs and Brentford. I want to join. I want to play for United, man. He's made it abundantly clear. United would ideally like to add Mbeumo into their squad in time for the start of pre-season training at Carrington next Monday. That's what we're aiming for. Of course, it's what we're aiming for. It's the first important date. And in an ideal world, that's when you've got all your transfers done by. Unfortunately for United, and this is something that we've always known this summer, there was going to be a point where sales would become a requirement, and that's going to happen after Mbeumo. Right? Let's see what you're saying down here in the comments. What's... Who's he? That's interesting. Where does this lad play? It's Fabrizio, what is it, 15 minutes ago? 15 minutes ago. Brentford have sealed a deal to bring in final 20-year-old talent Anthony Melambo. Where do you play, Anthony? Let's find out. Anthony, transfer. No, not that Anthony. Give over. Where's he from? Feyenoord. Feyenoord. Anthony Melambo. Don't want to convert it to English. Let's see what positions he plays. Attacking midfield, so he's more central rather than playing on the right wing. Most appearances, attacking mid, played left wing a few times. On paper, not exactly a like-for-like replacement, but maybe. Maybe this has been part of the delays. Maybe they're just buying themselves time so they can find a replacement without clubs knowing that they've got X amount of money. Guaranteed. Reggio, thank you for gifting 10 memberships down there, dude. Let me see what else you're saying in the chat. Klein saying, Sam, they keep moving the post. Before, United would have spent 70 mil trying to milk it. If this was United of old, we would have done exactly what happened with Anthony. Right, okay. Right, so we've been 40 million. Oh, no, he's not for sale, 40 million. Okay, 50 million. Right, no, honestly, like, you can have... No, all right, 60 million. No, well, no, 80 million, all right? That's how we signed Anthony. That's an exact replica of the whole transfer negotiation. I still think we sign him for 62.5 mil. I just think we're going to have to pay more as guarantees and less as add-ons. And Dean, you're damn right we need to sell. We massively, massively need to sell. That's always been the case all summer. But let's go into the headline for today's show. And I think I want to know what your opinions are on this one, right? I can go to the poll and I can see that out of 1,400 votes, 68% of you are saying, yeah, Watkins would be a good signing. Now, you'll remember this video, I don't know, maybe not. I did this video 11 days ago. And I was looking at Villa. I was looking at their sort of financial situation, and I was like, we talk about market opportunities. Villa are down and wounded. They've sold their women's team to try and recover from the pit that they're staring into, but their wage bill is still absolutely sensationally huge. Of course, players have left, so Asensio, Disasi, Rashford, 5 players I think who were on loan there, so that's reduced it a bit, but it's still phenomenal. So I spoke about Villa players, and I definitely had a conversation about Watkins, right? And last night we had confirmation from Laurie Whitwell that Manchester United have got him on a shortlist. I'm going to run through the article. I could have gone live yesterday. Yeah, maybe I should have actually gone live yesterday. What was I doing? I was doing stuff in the garden. I've actually got a garden now, which is quite nice. And it's hot AF. Anyway, this is what Laurie Whitwell was saying about Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is on United's list of potential centre forwards in the event that Rasmus Hojlund leaves the club. There's been contact between Old Trafford executive, basically intermediaries. So you're reaching out to his agent saying, look, if this was to happen, would you be up for it? Conversations between United and Villa concerning Rashford in the last season included the prospect of Watkins being involved in any possible summer transfer. Of course, Rashford has left. United's full focus is on agreeing a deal for Brentford. At this stage, a check call on Watkins is the extent of the dialogue, with Villa having been looking to see which of their players might attract significant money, including Martinez. Any movement is only expected as the window progresses. So Laura's confirming here, saying, look, this is effectively United picking up the phone and going, would you? Are you up for it? Just in case? Siraj, Watkins is absolutely not on his last year. I believe he's got... no. Actually, no. I was thinking about Rashford there. Rashford's got 3 years left on his contract. I nearly threw up in my mouth when I saw that this morning. How has he still got 3 years? What bloody length of contract did we give him? Oh, yeah, no, it was pretty similar, actually. Yeah, Watkins, 2028. So he's got 3 years. And I'd agree with your comment there. You're saying Watkins is sort of contrary to the Ineos stated plan. But I think you could also argue that Cunha is. That Mbeumo is. They're certainly right at the tip of the age. Watkins, right, is somebody that you... look, I don't think anybody would disagree with that, Brian, down there. Watkins is an upgrade on Hojlund. 90% of strikers would probably be an upgrade on what we saw from Hojlund last season. His absolute non-existence. With Watkins, you're not getting someone who's going to be there in the long term. He's 29. You're probably looking at somebody who would come in for 2 years, maybe? Without wanting to use the word stopgap, it's pretty much kind of how I would see... I think stopgap's a little bit unfair. A stopgap signing is like a loan signing. And like you're talking about the sort of flexibility and the strategy and the idea. Like, you know what part of this kind of feels like to me? We all know, and I agree with it, by the way, about the long-term strategy. About creating sustainable transfer windows by signing players that are going to have resale value if they don't move, if they don't sort of succeed because they're not, you know what I mean? Not just signing over-the-hill players like, you know, Casemiro, who's 30 for £70 million. But what you're kind of seeing from United this summer so far with targets, with signings in Cunha and hopefully another one in Mbeumo, is they're going for a bit of immediacy. They're going for a bit of now. They're going for a bit of, we need goals in the Premier League. Well, how about you sign Cunha and Mbeumo and Watkins? I mean, that's goals, goals, goals. All Premier League goals, all proven goal scorers in this league. And it might just be a slight pivot in approach. I wouldn't say it's a pivot in approach. I'd say this is something that they've been planning all along. It feels like, and you know what, you know how Amorim was speaking about how he knows he's not just going to be given endless amounts of time. Maybe this is the club recognizing that. I'm going to do a lunchtime video on Watkins because it's definitely worth a conversation. See, 1,600 votes are in. 68% of you would take Watkins. I suppose this is probably going to be one of the most important points, right? So I'm going to close that poll and start another one. So 68% of you think that he would be a good signing. 1 second there. Let me start a new poll. How much for Watkins is probably the most important question. What could we go for? I mean, I don't think we'll ever do it, but 50 mil plus. Let's go 4 options. 40 to 50 mil. 30 to 40 mil. Or less than 30 mil. Right? Leigh saying 68% of you are clueless. The power of opinions. Right? How much do you think for Watkins would be, if hypothetically United were to sign him, what is a fee that you could be like, okay, right, well, I'm not offended by that. Well, I'm not offended by that. What are we saying down there? William saying 2028 is just 3 years away. We need really good experience. We really need experienced players to promote the youth. Well, you know, you could absolutely look at Watkins as somebody who can come in for 2 years. Because if Chido is that guy, which he could well be, right? Yeah, I don't think he's going to be that guy next season. Nor do I want to see another young striker obliterated by becoming the face of Manchester United's goal-scoring needs, although he would be a far better supported striker because we've got Cunha and Mbeumo. But that's not exact. I don't want whoever the face of our... I've always said that I would prefer to have an experienced striker come in this summer. It's always been my priority in that sense. Of course, I think United and Amorim would probably prefer Gyökeres. He's sitting there gunning for Arsenal, which may end up biting him in the arse, man. It really do. It really might. I think it's more the fact that, like, again, from an agent perspective, like, don't come out and say, even if you do bloody prefer Arsenal, don't come out and leak it to the press, you whopper, because then you're just cutting off an option. You're just kind of ostracizing a fan base that otherwise wanted to bring you in. It's just not good gamesmanship as far as transfers go. That's what I mean about the fact that he's got to sack his agent. Right, let me see what you're saying down here. Stopgap should be an unknown, someone that can get 10 to 15 goals. Didn't Rashford bench Watkins? I always thought that was really strange of Emery. That was such a mad move. Remember Watkins at the start of last season? It was John Duran, it was Watkins or Duran. Then Duran got sold, and then Rashford came in on loan. And then 2 biggest games of the season, he starts Rashford against PSG. He was class and took him off. And then they lost. And then started Rashford against City, and they lost that one as well. Strange. People want to pay 30 to 40 mil for Watkins. I'm shocked Villa didn't even take Rashford. Why are we lining their pockets for Watkins? Again, 30 mil for I don't think you get 30 mil. Do you know what? This might make you crap you with your panties. Where is it? Let me find this again. Yeah. This is going to make you laugh, right? This is from Laurie Whitwell as well. In January, Arsenal held talks over Watkins with Villa seeking a £60 million fee. Arsenal valued him at the £40 million mark, however, and the deal never got close to completion. Villa feel Watkins is still worth that larger figure. I'm just going to highlight that. I think that's what I'd do. If I was like, who's it? Who's the head of negotiations now? Is it like Matt Hargreaves? I think he deals with the contract stuff. But if Villa picked up the phone to me, and I work for United, and they said, how much for Watkins? Oh, we think he's worth 60 mil. Sorry, what? That just made me laugh. Just made me laugh. Absolutely zero chance they get 60 mil for him. Not sure there's any player at Villa I would sign for 60 mil. And Morgan Rogers I would. But Watkins, it's going to be an interesting conversation in the lunchtime video. I don't think you'll all agree with everything what I'm going to say, but that's the beauty of it. Watkins doesn't thrive without space. That's why I think there's quite a lot of similarities between Watkins and Gyökeres in terms of how they play, in terms of because Gyökeres is somebody who thrives in space. Gyökeres is somebody you'd ask some questions about him in tight spaces, somebody who's very good at running the channels, somebody who does have power, somebody who's a good finisher. There are some similarities in that sense. Bit about what he's saying down here. I can't stand Watkins. Just go get Mateta from Palace. I think. Well, let me see what the price is, right? The price is right. Come on, Brucey. Yeah, if you're old enough, you know. 900 votes are in, and on the price, this is what you're saying. 6% of you think 50 mil plus. 26% of you are saying 40 to 50 mil. 48% of you are saying 30 to 40 mil. And 19% of you are saying less than 30 mil. I think they rejected 40 mil for him in January from, that interest from Arsenal. Has Watkins' stock gone up since then? Well, not really, because he was left out, as correctly pointed by a couple of people. He was left out the most important games for Villa last season. I always found that just really strange. Like, why would Emery sort of ostracize a player who's been one of his main goal scorers for a player who's on loan and might not actually join the club in the summer? Because that must have done something to the relationship. It might only have been a small thing. It must have done something to the relationship between Emery and Watkins. There's no chance we're going to go for 60 mil. I think 30 to 40 feels reasonable. Let me see what else you're saying in the chat. Apparently Bayern are still interested in Rashford. Well, they're missing out on Nico Williams, although that's kind of stalled, I think, now. If they feel Watkins is worth 60 and Rashford's 40, they should keep Watkins. Yeah. There's no way he's worth 60, man. And you're saying, thanks, Super Chat, dude. Saying, I'm still feeling the deeper we get into this window, the more Osman will negotiate his wage demands. Really weird. Again, I wouldn't say it's been as poorly managed from an agent perspective as the Gyökeres situation, but the longer the summer window goes on where no one's signed Osman, the more he's going to have to potentially compromise on the wages that he would ideally feel that he's worth. That's completely true. Although you could just see randomly Chelsea coming back in for him anyway. Liverpool definitely going to sign a striker. I think they're going to be getting rid of Darwin Núñez first. Please don't go Liverpool. My God, that would be awful. Yeah, Mateta, having conversations about Mateta. Just out of curiosity, how much do you think Mateta would go for? Of course, Mateta from Crystal Palace. I don't really see Palace letting him go for anything less than 50. What's he got left on his contract? Let's have a look. Mateta transfer marked. Whoop. Look, contract expires next summer. They might have one more year on it, though. Don't quite know. Does anyone know? Does anyone know if they've got the 1 year rolling? You know how, like, who else has got it? Brentford have got it with Mbeumo. Yeah, I don't really... A minute 50 is a minimum, I'm going to say, for Mateta. Apparently, Mateta said he's not leaving. Money talks. It definitely will talk with Crystal Palace as well. Yeah, put a cent down there. You're only worth what someone is willing to pay. I'm not willing to pay 50, 60 mil for Watkins. But I understand. I absolutely understand why he would be a target for United. I understand the profile and where it would fit in. It would ultimately just have to be the price is right. And if Laurie's correct, it completely depends on Hojlund going the other direction. Well, not the other direction, but Hojlund finding a new club. And ideally on a permanent basis. And if we go and now speak through segue, potential exits. I'll speak about Rashford more in a little bit. This is the latest from Mark Critchley. Look, there's no concrete interest in Malacia, and Hojlund's exit could open the door for a move to Watkins. He's on Inter's radar. But that's about it. I haven't really seen anybody else coming in for Rasmus Hojlund. See, I think, personally, this is what my lunchtime video is going to be about. If you want to have a conversation about somebody going potentially in the opposite direction, I think Garnacho absolutely comes into this conversation. I'll explain more. Look, we need a striker. I still personally feel that signing a midfielder would be my next priority after signing Cunha and Mbeumo, which brings so many goals. But clearly, United are going for a striker next. I can't exactly say that's the wrong thing because we need a striker as well. It's just that I would put the midfielder coming up next. That's all. Right. Well, actually, that was going to be my next talking point anyway. He's just put it in a lovely little tweet. People were hoping we got a little cheeky Ornstein bomber there. Was it like we got? Where did we get the Ornstein bombers before? We got it on Lenny Yoro. I remember that last summer. That was fun as hell. Yeah, look, in terms of midfield, this is all the Athletic are saying on midfield. As for midfield, despite links to Nemetcha, United are yet to make any contact with his representatives. Dortmund have got no intention of selling, and there hasn't really been any links to any other. Look, if I go to the link whiteboard, there's bloody loads of names on here. Ollie Watkins is there, updated. Big up Steve. The whiteboard is gathering pace, even if we've only signed one player so far. There's loads of bloody names on that midfield list. We haven't really been linked properly with anyone. Right, let's speak about what is ridiculously important for United this summer. Exits. Right, we got confirmation yesterday from Aston Villa. Quintet leave, Aston Villa. Robin Olsen, Courtney House. Sod knows who they are. Marco Asensio, Marcus Rashford, and Axel Disasi. All have left Aston Villa. Villa are not signing Rashford for 40 mil. So what happens now? Well, this is a tweet that's just come out about a minute and a half ago on Rashford from Ornstein. Marcus Rashford's prioritising that move abroad if he leaves United this summer. Club want the sale, but the 27-year-old is also open to a loan or a swap deal if the right opportunity arises. Wants to compete for titles. That could be a video unto itself, really. If Rashford was to be involved in a swap deal, random. Let's throw it in the chat now. Come up with a swap deal that is based in some form of reality, right? What could be a swap deal that United could propose? So we'd probably be looking for a striker. So you kind of have to think of a club that's got an out-of-favour striker who might end up being better inside. You could potentially do Napoli. Do you think that's outrageous? I mean, the Napoli one could have potential, but I think Darwin Núñez is going to be Napoli's choice. Napoli, Rashford, Osimhen, conversation? Julian, you saying a straight swap Rashford for Watkins? I mean, that's not going to happen, is it? Marcus Thuram and Inter? Who was it? Lautaro Martinez was just going to... If you don't want to be at the club, just piss off. We need the right mentality. it's kind of what you want your captain to say, really. Someone's saying Kvara. Harry Kane. De Jong. Wah, wah. Rashford plus 20 mil. Thuram's the obvious one. It may be. Rashford and Vlahovic with Juve. I've just never really been moved by Vlahovic. It might be unfair of me, but I just never really have. Edison as well. Atalanta. Gyökeres. Yeah, send it to Sporting. There you go. Play Champions League football. Go and live in Portugal. Lovely. Lovely. Rashford for Oblak. It's nothing. Swap deals rarely really happen these days, but two players can be involved in a transfer, and that's kind of what I wanted to speak about, the Garnacho and Watkins sort of idea. Rashford for Yamal and Rafinha. It seems like a fair deal to me. But yeah, I had this lined up just to speak about Rashford, and this is effectively Ornstein's just summarised everything that I had summarised here for you. Prioritising a move abroad. Complete opposite to Garnacho, by the way. Rashford's prioritising the move abroad. Garnacho's prioritising staying in the Premier League. And Rashford's like, I've done my time here, man. Like, let me just go and disappear into a foreign country somewhere. Enjoy some sunshine. Enjoy a different culture and a lifestyle. I'm fine with that. To be fair, I'd do that as well. Like, it must be awesome if you get the opportunity to live and work abroad in a cool place and like in a good environment. And ideally, you can bring your family with you. That would obviously be the hardest thing. Anybody ever done that? Let me know in the chat. He's got 3. I didn't realise that Rashford still had 3 years left on his contract. I was like, oh my God. It just makes it so much. That's the Ed Woodward style, isn't it? Remember after we lost Pogba on a free? Ramos? Gonzalo Ramos and PSG for Rashford? Really hasn't worked out for him since he joined. That's not an outrageous suggestion. That's what I mean. It might be worth doing a video on that. I think there's a few that you could like cook up. Dumfries, I don't think we're going to be signing I just don't think we're going to be spending big on a wing back this summer. I think we signed Dorgu. Then we're going to see Ahmad playing right wing back, and probably going to keep Dalot for one more season and then replace him next season. Malik Fofana, a few of you are talking about. We'll find out. Look, either way, United want to sell Rashford. Rashford wants to leave. He wants to go abroad. He's open to doing it on loan. He's open to doing it as a swap. Maybe he's starting to realise, lads, maybe I should open my options up outside Barcelona because Barcelona might not actually sign me. Maybe I should maybe this is all part of that. I don't know. Chris saying spent 5 years in Germany after the RAF. Awesome. I love Germany. It's a great country, man. And been offered a job twice in Dubai. Couldn't leave the kids. Yeah, that must be the hardest part for anybody to do that. Diego Leon video, by the way. Coming out tonight. You're getting a double drop today. Going to do a lunchtime video on Ollie Watkins and a conversation I want to have. And then at 7 p.m. tonight, going to be dropping the Diego Leon video. Just working on the final parts of the edit today. Don't say you don't get treated well, peeps. And although, unfortunately, we have got, if I do say so myself, a cracking video lined up on, where in the world is that? A cracking video lined up on the Fergie playbook and signing Premier League proven players. We're not going to release it until, fingers crossed, after the Mbeumo deal is done. So that video might have to wait a little bit. As has been the case all summer. Look, in terms of other sales, this is what the Athletic are reporting. And there really isn't much of an update here for you. Anthony remains nearest to the exit. Jadon Sancho's salary is an obstacle. No one wants to pay that money for that absolute bum. Rashford and Garnacho would likely generate higher fees. Chelsea hold the long-standing interest in Garnacho, who would prefer to stay in the Prem. And nobody's interested in signing Malacia. Really isn't. There hasn't been any. Where are we now? Leaving whiteboard. I haven't updated this in bloody ages. Ethan Williams. There's no updates. Yeah, Carl. Absolutely, I guarantee you. Guarantee you. Well, this is random. Why is it all sorts of bloody... it's a bit whiffy, that. We'll bring it up, though. Bring them up, bring them up. What did we just have a little conversation about? Marcus Rashford and Bayern Munich? Don't know. Let's see. Build is saying that United... Well, Build is saying that Bayern Munich are having a little peep. Shall we, Rashford? Don't know. United are going to have to subsidise his wages, though. Bayern Munich might be one of the only clubs that would actually be able to afford paying it, but I very much doubt they would pay it. Being able to pay it, actually paying it, are two different things. No way that they're going to pay the full Rashford wages. Look, someone down there mentioning Morgan Rogers from Villa. That was my dream signing for the summer. I don't think we're ever going to get him. I don't think they're going to be selling him. Juve are continuing to work on combos with Jadon Sancho. Yeah, and they're probably all the combos are like, can you lower your wage demands? Oh, yeah. We saw what you did at Chelsea last season, but can you lower your wage demands? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was a good game you played for United. Yeah, but can you lower your wage demands? Oh, yeah, Turin's a lovely place, man. You'll enjoy the food. Yeah, but can you just lower your wage demands? Bloody over and over and over again. That's going to be the conversation Juve are having with Sancho. Hate that lad. Really do. I know hate's a strong word. I just do. Oh, man. There is the proper OG himself. Gungshi. Should get like a little angel light that comes on the gong. Gifting 10 memberships. Thank you very much, dude. Yeah, Elise swap. I'd take an Elise swap. Come on. Man. Elise was in my dream signings last summer. He's absolutely crushed it at Bayern. He definitely wouldn't have crushed it in the same way at United. We all know that. But he has just kind of fulfilled on his potential of becoming a world-class player and has looked just class all season long. Please give me some sales momentum. That's what I want. That's what I want. I also want Mbeumo. I'm not greedy. All I want is a 20-goal Premier League winger. Done. Rashford to be sold for 40 million. Done. Garnacho to be sold for ideally 50, 60 million. Done. Hojlund to be sold. Not too fussed on the price of that one. For us to then sign a midfielder, top level, proper athletic powerhouse midfielder. Yep, I'll take that as well. And a striker. Yeah, I'll take that too. Find a club for Luke Shaw, ideally Casemiro. Malacia whilst you're at it. Buy in there too. Sign a new goalkeeper. Not asking for much. Apart from bloody everything. Rashford for Lewandowski. New. I mean, he has been class, but no, let's not say. How old is Lewandowski now? 36? I reckon 36. Right, let's run through last minute or two of the show. Fire any chats. Fire any comments, I'll answer them. We go back to the poll, and I asked you, how much do you think for Watkins? And 48% of you said 30 to 40 mil. So that's where the majority of you are. 40 to 50 mil, 26% of you said that. I imagine Villa are going to be asking for between 40 and 50. And I suppose it depends on what United can do and how much leverage they feel they've got and whether we can get Watkins. Because remember, Arsenal wanted him for 40 mil in January and they sort of were rebuffed because they just sold John Duran. They're not going to sell both in the same window. I don't really think the Watkins stock has gone up since then. So if it was 40 mil in Jan, I'd be going less than 40 now. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. Rashford for the striker at Juve, someone says down there, so that's Vlahovic. Next transfer activity, a sale or a buy. What's my preference? My preference is easy. It's Mbeumo. Get the Mbeumo situation done. We know that we've got the money for Mbeumo and Cunha. Boom, done. Right, both of those, whoop, out the way. And then we just go ham on the sales. Go outside, have a little yard sale in front of United, put little cutouts there. Old school. I don't know. Do some cold calling. Send out some flyers. Get some planes, put them out above the Nou Camp. Above the Allianz Arena. Why not? Do some hard selling. John Duran on loan. Well, he's gone to Fenerbahce. How many exits and loans will we realistically do? If we go to the whiteboard here, this is looking rather empty right now. The 3 exits are the ones that left on free transfers. Their contracts expired. And if I go to the leaving whiteboard, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 names, 10 or 11 names down there that I would ideally like to add to this board. I don't particularly think we're going to be adding that many. Bobby saying Mbeumo isn't getting done this month. Mate, it's only the 1st of July. Come on. Let's enjoy it for a little bit. Look, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your chats, your comments. Dean, thank you so much, man, for gifting 50. This community really does deserve that leader. And I promise you, I know I keep saying it, and it takes me a long time to get stuff done. It's not because I'm not spending time on what I'm doing. The opposite. I'm spending so much time doing everything. It's just really hard to manage. And bringing in somebody to be the head of community is a massive role that will require a lot of work to get done right. And it'll be very expensive, so I don't want to get it wrong. But the plan is next season to be able to do ideally a live show. I think that'd be cool. I wouldn't do like a stand-up or anything like that. I would rent a pub out. We'll watch the game together. We'll have a few drinks, maybe do a live podcast. That'd be a fun thing to do. And I want to do UPTV community meetups around the world. That's class. I need someone to be it. I know I'll keep saying it. And if you want to, the PO box, I've mentioned it now at the end. Here is the address. If you want to send anything in to put up there, look at the pinned comment on YouTube now. Right? Only so many hours in a day. That is the absolute truth, Soliloquy. Right. Take it easy. I'll see you for a double drop today. Lunchtime on Watkins. And I'll have a conversation about Garnacho. 7 p.m. Diego Leon. And I'll be back tomorrow morning. And maybe we get Here We Go later. Ideally, we get Here We Go before Thursday at 3 p.m. That's my cutoff. Take it easy.